Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this lovely little tea bag holder for a pouch of lavender bath tea. These tea bag holders are quick and easy to make with a 12-inch strip of designer series paper and the oval occasion stamp set and coordinating punch. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how we got started. For this project, I'm going to start with my piece of designer series paper that measures 12 by 3 inches. If there is a directional pattern on the back, you might want to look at how that's going to look on the inside if you desire. I am going to score this at 4, 5, and 9, and then I could put my scoreboard aside. Once I have that done, I'm going to bring in my designer series paper and bone folder and fold on all the score lines. With my score lines folded and nicely creased, I'm going to come to this larger section here, or the 3-inch section at the top. And I'm going to bring this in and fold along the score line to create this point, making sure I line things up carefully. And then I'm going to bring this other side in and fold again. Now your bone folder is helpful with this because this is getting pretty thick. And of course you can try folding it to make sure you have a nice look. Once I've got that done, I'm going to bring this point down and bend it, making sure I line up with that edge of the designer series paper, and once again use my bone folder. Now if you don't like the designer series paper movement here, you can open this up and add some adhesive to this one section to allow it to adhere and stay in place better. With my point done, I'm ready to bring in this piece of 6 to 6.5 inch baker's twine. I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to create a loop that hangs over the top of this folded section. And with my mini stapler, I am going to staple that down. What that loop does is allow us to adjust those pieces of baker's twine as desired. Now that I have that done, I'm ready to bring in my instructions for the lavender tea, and I can either set that here or here, and I'm going to put it behind the tea bags. Depending on how you place this, you can cut the little instructions smaller like I've done here, or a little longer for this section if that's where you prefer to place it. Now that I have that done, I'm ready to start decorating. For this next step, I'm going to be using my pastel pearls, mini glue dots, and 2 of the Highland Heather and Gorgeous Gray flowers that I punched using the small blossom punch. My first step is to add a mini glue dot in the center of each one of these flowers. So I've got one on the Highland Heather and a second one there on the Gorgeous Grape. Once I have that done, I can bring in my piece here with the 2 pieces of baker's twine and decide how I want them to lay. I'm going to take the dark one here and I'm going to set it where the baker's twine runs through the center of that. And then for the longer one, I am going to use the Highland Heather. Now, if you notice, I am making sure they run through the whole flower. Now at this point, I can add a second mini glue dot, and then I can line this up and adhere down. I do want them on top of each other. You don't want to stagger them at all because that's going to take away from the image of your flower. And we'll do the second one here. There we go. And I'm pressing down fairly firmly so that those mini glue dots really are embedded onto those flowers in the baker's twine. Now I'm ready for my pastel pearls, and I'm going to take one of these darker pearls for my Highland Heather flower and one of the lighter pearls here for the darker flower. Okay, once I have that finished, I'm going to bring in my paper snips, and I'm simply going to snip off just the corner on each side of this front panel. I'm not taking a long section off. It's probably less than a ½ inch. And if you wanted to make a template so you were consistent, you can do that. At this point, I'm going to bring in my lavender bath tea. There's about 1/3 cup in here, and this is an extra large tea bag. I've taken my baker's twine, laid it straight across, stapled, and then tied it in a bow. And this will be used for you to tie onto your tub or to pull it out when you're finished. I'm going to set that in the center, and then I'm going to simply pick up that designer series paper flap that we created and set that down. And then I can flip over my flowers as desired, and as you can see, that creates a whimsical little floating image. And I'm ready to start with my stamping. For the stamping, I'm going to bring in my basic white cardstock and my sentiment of choice. I'm going to use a little treat for you for this one. And I'm going to take my double oval punch and use the smooth side here to punch it out. There we go. And then I'm going to take a piece of our gorgeous grape cardstock and punch out a larger oval using it. I'm going to adhere this sentiment right down on top. And then I'm going to bring in these gorgeous little butterfly gems. They come in all 5 in colors, and they are just adorable. I'm going to pick one of those up and pop it right here to the right of the sentiment for a little bit of bling. At this point, I can turn this over, bring in my Stampin' Dimensionals, add one on each side, remove these backings, and then bring my little holder over and pop this down here on the front where I'd like it. I think right there's nice. And then I'm all done with this adorable little tea bag, and the little flowers swing, and the little gem just draws your eye to the lovely little sentiment. And of course, if you don't like the length of your flowers here, you can simply tug on the baker's twine and lengthen that loop a little bit to make them shorter if you desire. And of course, you can do that to make them longer also. Just a quick little tip. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.